We determined that our pattern size for the terracotta tile on the floor, that is to receive the tile texture map, is 4 feet by 4 feet. We need to be able to project that information onto the floor in our scene to accurately set the size of the pattern. Continue from the previous section, or if you're starting from a new scene, go ahead and open the file Chapter 4 Interior Material 07.max. If you have the material editor still open, let's close it. That will also close the enlarged preview sample window. First, let's select the floor object. It's easiest to do that in the camera view. The object is called Floor 01. You can also select the object with the Select by Name tool if you're having a hard time picking it in the camera viewport. In order to resize the pattern, we need to project mapping coordinates using the UVW map modifier. To do this, we have the object selected. We navigate to the command panel and click on the Modify panel. In the modifier list, look down the list. You may have to scroll the window down a little bit. Look for the UVW map modifier. It just says UVW map. Make sure you click on that particular modifier. In the viewports, you'll notice nothing happens to our pattern because by default, and we can see this with the orange gizmo in the wireframe viewports, this floor is getting the 4x4 texture map projected across the entire floor. If we look at the modifier parameters, we'll notice that there are parameters for quite a few options. Currently, the modifier is projecting the pattern using the planar option. It is projecting it directly down onto the floor. And the projection is fitting to the floor plus just a little bit more, in this case just about 1/4 of an inch. Here is where we enter the size of the area to be covered by the current map. What we determined is that the map is occupying 4 feet by 4 feet. Let's highlight the length, then type in 4 and press enter on the keyboard. Then highlight the width, type in 4. Remember to press enter on the keyboard to accept the new value. That now projects the pattern in an area 4 feet by 4 feet. We can see in the top viewport that the gizmo of the UVW map modifier is occupying a 4 foot by 4 foot area. Right-click to make sure the Camera 1 viewport is active. Go to the main toolbar and click the Render button. We'll see that our floor tiles are now correctly sized. We've analyzed the map, we've determined the area the map will cover, and we then apply a UVW map modifier to the object that gets the map. Then we enter the size of the area to be covered in the UVW map modifier. From experience, this works every time. It's a very simple process and a very important step to getting your maps looking correct. Once the scene finishes rendering, we're going to make one more change to our material to make it a little more convincing. Right now it looks like a shiny linoleum surface. Close the render window. Open the compact material editor again. There is a tool that we will use called the Material Map Navigator. To access it, click on the Material Map Navigator icon on the side toolbar of the Material Editor sample slots area. We'll use the navigator to return to the top level of the terracotta material. Click on the very top level, which is the little circle. The parallelogram represents the maps, and the circles represent the materials. A good thing to remember. It can save a little confusion as you're working with materials and maps down the road. We're going to take the diffuse color map and use it as the bump map as well. We'll right-click on the letter M to the right of the color swatch in the diffuse area. From the right-click menu, select Copy to copy the map. Now, in order to put it in the Bump Maps channel, we need to scroll the window down to the Special Purpose Maps rollout. If that rollout isn't open, go ahead and click the plus on the left-hand side to open it. We want to right-click on the None button to the right of the Bump channel and paste a copy of the map into that channel. The reason we make a copy is because we're going to need to change the colors in the tile parameters to make the bump work a little better. Remember, bump maps work best off of black and white or grayscale color values. Use the Material Map Navigator to click on the bump map level. In the Tiles Advanced Controls rollout, click on the Tiles Setup color swatch. This is for the tiles. We'll make this pure white to create a bump up, And we'll double click on the color swatch for the grout and make this pure black to make it not do anything. Just remember, bump maps work off of grayscale information. Click OK to close the color selection dialog. In the bump amount value, type in 0.5 and press enter. Click the render button from the main toolbar. Once the rendering completes, you should see a little bit of a bump texture on the tiles themselves. It may not be something very noticeable in this particular example because of our lighting and the floor itself, but it will appear to raise the tiles up a little bit above the grout in the rendering of the scene. And you can see that start to develop in the final rendered image. So we copied the color information of our tiles into the bump channel. Then we changed the color of the tiles map to black and white, keeping in mind that white will bump up and black doesn't do anything. You'll see this is fairly simple, and it really doesn't have to be a confusing process at all. Press Ctrl S to save the file.